Hi, this is Todd Bick from Harmar Mobility coming to you live from Sarasota, Florida. Wanted to get in touch with you today to discuss some things about COVID-19 and how to continue to operate doing business in this challenging world. They say the true test of a company isn't how they treat you in the good times, but how they stand behind you and support you in the times of need. And certainly our country's facing some big times of need and hardship. And so we have many days ahead that are going to be challenging, and certainly want you to know that you have a partner here at Harmar. First and foremost, you are an essential business by classification or declaration, because of the products that we provide to clients. And you being an extension of us, it's very important that you continue to operate to provide these essential products. There are essential business letters that we've provided on our website, so any Harmar dealer can download those from our website. So if you are traveling out and about, you'll have the protection necessary. Next, when the virus really started amping up, we wanted to make sure that dealers were ready. So we started writing scripts and basically some guidelines. We wanted to make sure that dealers knew how to conduct business in this COVID-19 world. It's a little bit different than normal. Obviously, you have to better protect yourselves and your people first, making sure that they don't have fevers and they have all the proper protective gear and things of that nature. If you're going to enter a client's home or do work at the house, obviously you want to make sure that your team is safe too. But also, just best practices, how to keep things clean and sanitized, and how to work at the job site and things like that. So those guidelines were pretty important as a first step. Next, we created the Fall Prevention Task Force. So this is a grassroots effort that we put together. Many people don't know, but there's 800,000 people a year that essentially fall and become hospitalized. And for the people that choose to stay at home and not go out of their homes, this is a really unsafe time, especially if they don't have a product like a stair lift that can keep them safe in their home. So make sure that when you're speaking to clients, review some of the data that we've talked about in the Fall Prevention Task Force. The Council's on Aging, and they do a great job with giving statistics and things, but it's important for the customer to know that if they are making the choice to stay at home, they put themselves at greater risk. And you being a dealer that has prepared their business to operate in this COVID-19 world, you should be able to give them a level of comfort. So that brings me finally into the contactless installation. Obviously, many of you already started doing virtual evaluations, which is fantastic, whether you're using Skype or FaceTime or some other mechanism to do virtual evaluations, or simply just over the phone. But when it comes time to do the evaluation or the installation, this is the really tricky part. So the best practice is really just to make sure that your client knows all the things that your company's doing to protect them, but then also something as simple as making sure that your team uses the bathroom before they even get to the client's home. Don't want to be asking the client to use a bathroom at the job site. That's definitely a no-no. But when you do arrive at the job site, you want to make sure that you're calling your client, letting them know you're there. Use hand sanitizer as you approach the front steps. When you ring the doorbell or knock at the door, give that client some time to review, make sure that they see that it's you. So you have, clearly labeled, shirts or hats and things that designate your business. Let that client open the door, and then you can, proceed in after they have moved back 6 or 10 feet, whatever the necessary amount is, so that they're comfortable. They can show you where the job site is, or you can, essentially go to the job site inside the home. You want to make sure that, whatever tools you need, you bring in one trip, so that you're not going in and out of the home. And essentially, you finish your job in under 2 hours if possible. Some installations may take longer, but the goal is to be in and out of the home as quickly as possible. Make sure that you sanitize the product and the surrounding area with things that you bring to do the cleaning. Leave a lot of the documentation on the seat of the stair lift, say, and feel free that when you leave the house, that you're essentially walking them through the training piece of the product. So I would recommend you do that from your vehicle before you leave the premises, so that if there are any questions, they can do it. Sometimes dealers choose to do that at a safe distance in the home. They can operate the lift while in the home, but some are choosing to do it from the car and just walking the client through it. We believe that, in these COVID-19 world, you have to get creative and you have to be safe. So find a way to be able to make sure that that dealer or that end user understands that training is an important piece and they have to know how to use the product. Documents can be signed, they can be scanned, pictures taken and emailed or texted to your office. They can mail them if necessary, whatever it takes to get the proper documentation so that you can proceed. But a contactless installation is really, really important, and we want to make sure that everybody's practicing these things. It's going to be important in the month of April and May. Obviously, we want to help you continue to do business as obviously everybody hunkers down and stays at home. These products are necessary, and so if we are going to enter homes, we want to make sure we're safe, you're safe, the client's safe, everybody is safe. And so we put together a simple document that really highlights some of the best practices for contactless installations. And feel free to let your funding sources and the VAs and all the other people you do business with, let them know what you're doing as a company to make sure that the clients that are getting these products are safe. All this information is, again, available on harmar.com. Go ahead and click the COVID-19 overview page, and you'll be able to see all these documents and things listed as I'm speaking about them today. So again, thanks for listening, and stay safe out there.